Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us here at the BT Tower for the continuation of an announcement that began on Friday, described in the news as a landmark deal and the biggest deal in UK boxing history. And that was just Frank saying those things, so I don't know what you guys will write after this. But we're delighted that you could come and join us. My name's Josh Smith from BT. I'm the commercial director of BT Sport, so I look after the rights portfolio that we have, including bringing on new things. And this is the latest in a wonderful series of those things, and we're delighted to be announcing it today. So what we'll do is I'll hand over to Frank in a second to say some things, and then we'll have a Q&A. Before we do that, I just wanted to lay out a little bit of BT's vision for boxing through this deal. And there are two facets to it, really. The first is 20 nights, Saturday night fight nights, live on BT Sport channels. And in addition to that, then, the BoxNation channel for all BT Sport customers, a 24/7 channel for all boxing fans. So fantastic value for BT Sport customers. So the vision really on a Saturday night for BT is to have what we already have, the Aviva Premiership Rugby, the Premiership Football, Premier League Football in the evening, leading into boxing and then into UFC, which is where I've come back from this evening, or this morning, so I'm feeling a bit knackered, to be honest. Anyway, so that's the vision, and I think it's a wonderful home of sport on a Saturday for BT. So when we were looking into boxing, it was hard not to look past these two fine gentlemen next to me, and I just want to say a couple of words about each. Frank's track record with broadcasters in the UK over the last 20-odd years is compelling, and I think it was that really started the conversation. But it's the focus and intent that he has on developing young talent, that I'm sure he'll talk about now, that really made sure that Frank was the right partner for us. And from George's side, it was we were massively impressed by what he's built with the channel and the digital strategy, the platform, and it's really been wonderful to get to know you over the last 12 months, and I think we've got a great future together. So without further ado, I'll pass on to Frank for some more.
Thank you, Josh. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks very much for coming along. For me, it's a great privilege to be here. I remember as a kid growing up just down the road, a block of flats called Priory Green Estate. I'd look out my window and look at the BT Tower, and I liked my boxing at the time. And now here I am announcing what I believe is the biggest deal that's ever been in British boxing. This is phenomenal for boxing. It's phenomenal for the fans. We've signed with a BT, who have great vision, and you only have to see what they've done over the past few years, how they've attacked sport and taken great football, UFC, rugby, all the way through. They've done a fantastic job, and for us to be involved in this now is a great privilege. As Josh said, my big passion is developing young talent, and we have now, in this deal that we've done with BT, gives us the opportunity to develop the best talent, to bring them through, to bring the stars of the future through, to show those stars to the biggest audience. We've got the biggest reach now with BoxNation and with BT to the fans. And this is what it's all about for me, is the fans. The fans are what count. That's what makes boxing. People wanting to see it. It has a great audience at the moment. It's been very successful. Over the years, I like to think I've been quite innovative the way I've developed the sport. From my perspective, that started off obviously running small shows, then getting into closed circuit, then getting into pay-per-view. Obviously doing the biggest deal that Sky had at the time, doing the biggest deal that ITV had, developing those events, developing big events on Setanta, and here now it's culminated in. I've still got a bit of spring in my step, but in my later years, I'm here now, and I have got the bit between my teeth. I am going to make this a success story for the boxers that I'm involved with, the boxers that we sign, and more importantly, for the customers of BT and the customers of BoxNation. We're here to serve you, to deliver you the best, and that's what we're going to do. George.
Well, good morning, everyone. 5 years ago, did I think that we, as BoxNation, would be sitting here? A lot of people didn't. I personally did. It's something from the bottom of the pit of my stomach, I knew we could deliver this and make this channel a success. It's been very hard at times. We've had to rely on quite a lot of support from a lot of people. We've had to rely on some patience from others, some loyalty from some others on top of that. However, I am absolutely delighted to say that after 5 years of hard work, we are now in a situation like no other boxing provider in this country, and in my opinion, in Europe and perhaps even the United States. Across BoxNation and BT Sport, customers can look forward to 30 top domestic events a year. This is a long-term deal. On top of that, we will be delivering a minimum of 30 live international shows on an annual basis. That's 60 live boxing shows a year. Who would have thought the UK would have ever seen something like that, and for it to continue and to be supported by, in my opinion, the largest broadcaster, or largest, certainly, multimedia company in the country. This is a phenomenal opportunity for us, and we are determined to, as the old man says, to make this as successful as possible. Josh has shared some very kind words about myself and about my father. I just want to take this opportunity to thank some other people that have been involved in getting us to this deal. On BT's side, Simon Green, head of sport, and Josh Smith, who's obviously sat up here with us today, as well as Andy Hayworth. Your vision and belief in us and determination in seeing this deal over the line, we will make it pay dividends. We are determined to make this a success. From BoxNation's side, our Vice Chairman, Gav Jones, who's been absolutely instrumental in getting this deal over the line, and the support of Jim McMahon is unequivocal. This story, you know, many times there's been a lot of people that have said this wasn't going to happen, that the channel was unable to cope with the competition out there. It was unable to deliver a subscription base and a customer reach that would make boxing popular enough to continue and to provide the revenue to support such a fledgling channel. I feel today we've now got the opportunity to prove those people wrong. This is a tremendous occasion for us, and I'm thrilled to be here. Thank you.
There you go. So I wonder if there's a microphone around. I think if anyone has any questions, then we can field them as we go.
Could you break down the international part, how that's going to work? The overseas stuff?
Yes. Is this on? Yeah. The international will still only be available on BoxNation. BoxNation will be available for free as part of your BT Sport subscription. If you're not a BT Sport customer and you don't wish to join BT, though why you wouldn't, I don't understand with this, the phenomenal amount of coverage of live sports that you get. But if you aren't a BT Sport customer, nothing changes in terms of what you are as a BoxNation customer. A BoxNation customer continues to pay their £12 a month, and they will receive access to all of the events. BT Sport will be showcasing 20 live events promoted by Frank Warren. They will be simulcast on BoxNation. All international content will be available only on BoxNation, plus a further 10 domestic events available to BoxNation subscribers.
George, will any other events or magazine programmes etc. be available on BT that BoxNation produce, like Dungeons Boxing Now, etc.?
Well, this partnership, this moving forward partnership is, for me, this has been something that we've been discussing for some time. It's been live for quite some time. You know, anyone that pays particular attention to what's out there in terms of what you can watch on boxing will notice that BT Sport have, for quite a period of time now, I believe roughly about 24 months, they have been showcasing a lot of our live fights on a delayed basis, and that's been built around a show called Boxing Tonight. That relationship and that sharing of what I would say content and the expertise that we've got between us to keep creating that stuff, that will continue to happen. Now, I don't know how many events, that's something that Josh would certainly need to say, but absolutely it's something that we want to continue to happen.
I think what we would envisage is that from an editorial perspective, building up to any of those 20 events on a Saturday night, what we'd probably look to do is make sure that we can, as George says, share some of that content on BT Sport channels through the week, at the least the week prior, and even more than that. Looking back through some of Frank's archive, which is a fantastic resource for us to be able to draw upon and tell the stories of the fighters, really. That's what we'll be doing on the BT Sport channels, in addition to making sure that people are very aware that they can watch even more boxing on BoxNation.
So your direct competition with this is the direct competition with this is the Matchroom and Sky collaboration, which started in 2012. What's going to make you different from that?
More exposure, bigger reach for the audience, more shows. We are doing minimum of 30 shows per year, which makes us the busiest promoters in Europe, and our expertise. You think what we've done, being little Box Nation, we've developed world champions, we've brought fighters through, we've developed fighters. We've managed over the last year to enable pay-per-view, which there will be some pay-per-view events. And what do we do? What's different? This is what we do. We're boxing. Cut us in half. It says boxing. It doesn't say dip into whatever's around. It says boxing. That's what we're about. And my commitment to boxing is as strong as it's ever been. So from my point of view, as I've said earlier, I've got the bit between my teeth, and I'm going to deliver. And we're going to deliver big for the boxers, but more importantly, as I keep demonstrating, for the fans. We're about the fans, giving the fans value for money. They buy their tickets, come watch the shows, they can watch it on BT, they can watch the shows, they're not paying over the price for tickets or whatever. This is what we are, boxing, and we will deliver the best. This gives boxers a choice, a real choice. All the mantra that's been put into the boxers' heads for the last few years is that you won't get the exposure if you box on Box Nation. Well, now you're boxing on Box Nation, but you're boxing on BT. You're going to get the exposure. You're going to get great exposure, and it's a bigger audience that you're getting to with the various businesses that BT have to deliver that exposure.
And to expand on what that means, exposure and reach. From a BT perspective, George just kindly described BT as the biggest multimedia business in the UK. I don't know if that's ever been how BT's been described before, but it's very kind of you to say so. But what it certainly is an amazing set of sports channels, which has got a wonderful reach already. But in addition to that, now with the acquisition of EE, we're now looking at the ability to provide the BT Sport app to 16 or 18 million of those EE customers, and that is the reach that is achievable. And if you talk about what's different between the two organisations, then I would think that is definitely something that Frank can lean on to build the boxes.
Josh, how important was the current buoyancy of boxing in your decision to link up with Box Nation? I mean, it's now one of the most a tremendous resurgence in popularity. It's no longer non-PC. It's right up there with the elite sports again. How important was that in your decision to link up with Box Nation?
It was absolutely vital. From my role in terms of bringing on new sports, new properties into our portfolio, what we're looking for is the overall health of a sport. And I think I'm right in saying that there are more champions, British champions, there are US champions, or even Mexican champions, kind of traditional strongholds in boxing. And that kind of recent resurgence has been something that very much piqued our interest. But it's clear that if you look across all of the audience profile of what we're serving our sports fans with BT Sport customers, boxing's right up there as one of the sports that they really are interested in. And as I said, moving from Saturday evening Premier League game into boxing, into UFC, I think that's really the home of sport for every family at home at the weekend.
So approximately what time will boxing be on Saturday evenings?
It's a good question. So at the moment, the 5:30 kickoff, we normally have a programme after that called Premier League Tonight. We envisage probably keeping that, but the boxing could be anywhere from 8:30, 9 o'clock onwards.
Gents, there's been rumours about this collaboration for years now. Do you know why that is? Have talks really been ongoing for that long?
It shouldn't be a year, because we actually watched an Arsenal game together a year ago, and that's basically where it's cooked up. I think Arsenal was so bad that night, they've been better this season, but it was a Champions League game 12 months ago. That's where it all started.
So those rumours had no foundation whatsoever?
Prior to that, no.
Fred, can I also ask the resources that you're going to now have, do you intend on recruiting more fighters?
Absolutely. We've got nearly, I think it's 60 odd fighters on the books anyway, and we're just looking for talent. I mean, that's what we've always done. So we're looking for the best talent. Excuse me. And also, as I've said, there are other fighters out there on other channels who may not be happy where they are, and if they're out of contract, they can come and have a chat with us. We are competitors. We're in this business to deliver the best for our customers, our respective customers. That is what this is about, delivering the best. And the only way you can do that is having the best fighters involved in the best fights.
Have you got any particular names in mind?
Lots of them in my mind.
With the BT free channel that's also available, is that something that you could look to put some of your fights on to increase exposure for some of your younger guys?
The BT channel, showcase channel, is something that we'll consider. I mean, to be clear, the 20 events that we're talking about here will be on BT Sport channels. But we'll look across all the levers that we have available to help Frank use that platform, whether it's, I mentioned EE before, but even the social activities that we do. All of that kind of power of BT's reach and distribution will be used to help the guys build people's careers, because boxing, probably more than any sport, is built on the talent and making sure that people are aware of the stories and the proper backstory with each of those individuals, and that's what great sport is. So that's what we'll be trying to do.
Sorry, what were you just saying about that Arsenal Champions League games? Was that a chance meeting or was that planned?
No, we kidnapped him. Took him to-
I can't remember. Well, it was in his box. I can tell you that much.
It was an invite. Obviously, Simon was our former CEO of BoxNation in the early days, and now he's head of sports. So, you know, I've been pestering the life out of him, and I know he's had it's been a hard slog. But, you know, Josh, I believe, has had the vision and the faith in us to do it over the last year for us to. I'm used to moving very quickly in boxing, but for me, this has been it's been not a tough negotiation, but it's been a long negotiation. I think that's all about getting to know each other. And for once, I'll say good old Arsenal last season, even though they played crappy, it was good that we met in the box and it's culminated in today. So I'm pleased, and I think, as I say, this is going to be a very fruitful relationship.
You could probably say that last year we were so worried that Arsenal were about to get knocked out of the Champions League that we weren't able to concentrate on boxing, whereas this year they've done so well. So it was much easier to say yes to boxing.
Just about.
You alluded earlier to BoxNation.
Sorry, Declan?
You alluded earlier to things about BoxNation, etc. Without this, do you think BoxNation would have continued anyway?
Well, we would have continued. Of course, we would have continued. But you know, this is about our involvement. This is about us. You know, like. You know, any TV station, it's about them, you know, delivering to the masses and getting to the biggest audience. And this has delivered the channel to a great sporting audience and a potentially bigger audience, with the fact that, you know, the app, as Josh mentioned, for EE, once that comes in, you're hitting nearly another 18 million potential customers. So, as I say, this is the biggest market out there. This is the biggest market for us, I think, in Europe. I can't think of too many TV channels who have that access to get to the public. And for us, as I say, it's phenomenal. It's the old days of you only get seen on BoxNation to the boxer. You haven't got a big audience. That's dead in the water. Absolutely, factually dead in the water. We are the biggest game in town now, and we will prove that, as we've done on many, many occasions over the years.
Do you have a date for your first event?
We're working on that, and I think we're getting together late this week, but it'll be early 2017.
January?
Sorry?
We're talking as early as January.
No, January is not really a good month for boxing, so I think it'll be after that. But we'll have all the details of that, and obviously advise everybody in due course.
I think on that point, it's probably worth highlighting that whether you're a BT Sport customer or a BoxNation customer at this current time, until it's launched, nothing is to change. So certainly if you're a BoxNation customer and a BT Sport customer, don't go and cancel your BoxNation subscription just yet, because you're going to miss some good fights.
Cancel your BT one to buy BoxNation.
I'd like to see that.
Any more? Okay, thanks very much, everyone. I think there's some coffees around the back, so
Thanks
Thanks
a
very
lot,
much.
guys. Thanks, ladies.
Thank you.